Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Not Your Average Fangirl.
I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm your host, Addison, and let's just get right into this week's episode.
Previously on Not Your Average Fangirl.
Okay, so movies. Have you watched any movies this week?
I've kind of been slacking on movies, not gonna lie. I've really just been catching up on shows, which I'm gonna talk about later, but I haven't watched any movies recently.
Yeah, I think I forgot to mention this last week actually, but I went to go see the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie with my friend, and it was pretty good. It was kind of weird with like the way they did the storyline of the movie.
That's
Like
what I heard.
it didn't really follow the game exactly, and it also didn't really follow like the background of the game that like the fans, I don't know if that's like a fan created thing or if it's like actual information, but like they kind of
Yeah.
combined the two and it was weird. But it was still enjoyable, and Josh Hutcherson looked really good, so I
Yeah.
enjoyed every second of it.
In all the pictures, he looks so good. That's why I want to go see it.
There was not a second of that movie that he didn't look scrumptious. I know whenever the Marvels comes out, I'm
I've
going
been
to see
seeing
that. So I'm excited for that. And then speaking of Josh Hutcherson, the new Hunger Games or the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is coming out this month. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared of the Hunger Games. Like, I've watched like the first two, but I kind of want to see this new one. Like, it looks like it's gonna be good. So
Yeah, I remember I read the book when it came out and I didn't really think it was like phenomenal or anything. I was also like 12 when I read it, or however old I was when it came out, but I should probably reread it before the movie comes out. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited though, because it just gives that Hunger Games 2010s dystopian movie feel.
Exactly. I feel like we have to go watch these movies and then like talk about them on one of the episodes coming up. But
Yes, we'll definitely need to take a minute to talk about.
yeah, we will.
the
For music, I've been listening to the same stuff I've been saying, like a lot of Lana. Bruno Mars. I've been listening to a song by Bruno Mars like every day. Young Girls by Bruno Mars. It's so good. But yeah, a lot of Lana.
I always forget about Bruno Mars, but honestly, like the music is so good. And then honestly, same as last week too. I've just been listening to a lot of 1989 Taylor's version, and I found like a playlist on Spotify that's just like all of the vault tracks from the Taylor's version albums, and I've been listening to that because the vault tracks, especially from Speak Now in 1989, are just like I love them so much, and it's like
Yeah.
new Taylor music, even though it's old Taylor music, so it's like falling in love with it for the first time, like a new album you would with a new album, you know?
Yeah, that's such a good
Yeah.
feeling. Well, what about shows? What shows have you been watching?
So I got to this part in Gilmore Girls that like something annoying starts to happen. I can't say it because you haven't finished it.
Yeah,
But
don't say it.
oh my god, when I get to this part, it always gets me like so annoyed. And I'm on like season 6 episode, like the first few episodes of season 6, or maybe it was season 6 episode 10 or something. I don't know. If you've watched the show, you can go look it up and see, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. But I just like have no motivation to keep watching it, even though I love Logan and he's in it, because it's just so annoying. I guess I could skip it, but whatever.
Yeah,
So
like if I've watched a show, I'll just like skip over those parts. I feel like Vampire Diaries, like I'll just skip around so many times.
because I like have no motivation to watch that, I started Grey's Anatomy again last night, back at season 1, and
Such
just
a good
because
rewatch.
it's season 1 is just so nostalgic. I feel like all
It
shows are
really
like that, but
is.
I love Derek and Meredith in season 1. It's just like so like cute and bubbly. Because
They're
I'm
the
not like
best.
a huge Derek fan in the later seasons. Like I don't really like him in the later seasons, but in the first few seasons, he is just so McDreamy.
Everyone's so good in the early seasons, and you're right, like it's so nostalgic. Like every time I go back to watch Grey's, I usually get to the first like up to the first 8 seasons and then like I stop because those
When
seasons are like the best.
Yeah, I always stop after the plane crash because, well, actually, I keep watching for Alex or like for Karev because I love
Yeah.
Karev. But like other than him, after the plane crash, like there's just no motivation for me to go keep going.
Exactly. Well, for shows, I've been watching Gilmore Girls. I started Vampire Diaries. I picked up where I left off a little bit ago on season 3. So I'm rewatching from season 3. And you guys know I've also been watching Supernatural and I just finished season 1, so I'm so excited about that.
And that is actually what today's episode is all about. We're going to be recapping season 1, asking Grace a bunch of questions about how she's feeling about the show, her favorite characters, storylines, all of those kind of things. So, I recommended to you guys on Instagram that you should watch season 1 if you haven't already watched Supernatural before this episode. And if you haven't, pause this, go watch season 1, come back, and then
Yes.
you can discuss it with us or listen to us discuss it, I guess. But
Yeah.
we thought it would be fun to do kind of like a little like series maybe where every time Grace finishes a season of Supernatural, we recap it, we discuss it, because why not, you know?
Yeah, and Addie's watched like all of Supernatural, so we feel like it'd be fun to like take me through the process of like watching Supernatural and like yeah, just build this little mini series.
Because there's me who's seen some seasons multiple times and the whole show all the way through once, and then Grace who is just watching it for the first time. So I think it'll be an interesting dynamic, you know?
Yes.
And I just want to mention that originally we were going to try and include me talking about the Supernatural convention that I just went to where I met the cast of Supernatural, including Jensen Ackles and Jared. We were going to try and include that in this episode, but we didn't feel like we could fully focus on both topics
Mhm.
that they deserved if we
It
included it
needs
on.
its own little part in an episode.
Yes. So we're going to split it into 2. So this week we're talking about season 1 of Supernatural, and next week we'll be talking about me meeting the cast, mostly Jensen, but also the others because I love them too.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so I feel like we should just start off with your overall thoughts, just like in general, everything, you know, with season
Yeah.
1.
I honestly really liked it. At first, I feel like it was kind of slow, and like I feel like starting a new show is like always kind of hard because I wasn't like too sure about it at first, and then I kept watching and it just grew on me so much, and I got to know like Sam and Dean more, and I really like the vibe, and I just really like how they put it together and how every episode is like something new. Like I feel like that's what like really grabbed my attention, that every episode is like something different.
Yeah, I agree with like it can be kind of slow to get into. I think the only reason I
Yeah.
got into it so fast is because I watched like the first 2 episodes with my dad and then I kind of just left it on in the background while I was on my phone and like watched a few episodes, and then just like as it went on, I slowly just stopped being on my phone and I was just like watching it like so
Yeah.
intensely. So it kind of like hooked me because I watched the first few episodes like so quick.
hmm
But
Overall, I really liked season 1 and I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10, which is pretty high.
hey, that's
I really
pretty
liked it. I
good.
did. It really grew on me.
So, with it being kind of like a slow watch in the beginning, would you still say that it's, you know, like a binge-worthy show that you could get like sucked into?
I feel like you can get sucked into it. For me, like as of right now, I want to say it's not a binge-worthy show, but I feel like for a lot of other people it can be, and I feel like that's what's going to happen to me. I'm going to get like so sucked in like the next season, and I'm just going to want to watch it like every single day. That's what I'm
Yeah, I feel
hoping
like
for.
it's interesting because you don't watch TV shows as fast as I do, and I'm like a crazy binge watcher. So, it's just I think it depends on like who you are as a person, you know, like me,
Exactly.
like
It
if I
definitely
like a show
depends.
even a little bit, I get sucked in and I watch like the whole first season in 2 days. But
No, yeah.
you're a little bit different. So,
And I'm
depending
also
on what kind of
watching
person you
like
are, you know,
yeah,
you can take from me and Grace whether or not you'd be the kind of person that would binge it really fast or if you would watch it slowly over a longer period of time.
yeah, and I'm not saying to like not watch it. I'm just saying like yeah, like it depends on who you are, and like I'm also watching like 3 other shows or 2 other shows at the moment, so I'm like battling like all these different shows that I love so much. So it's like hard for me to binge one because I'm also like binging the other 2. If that makes
Yeah. I would
sense.
say for someone like you, it'd be good to like be rewatching a show that you really love while you're watching it for the first time so you can go
Yes. Yeah.
back and forth, you know? Okay, and then you kind of mentioned this that you liked the every episode being a different thing. So, how do you feel about the like someone on Instagram called it the monster of the week pattern and I thought that was funny. So,
No, yeah, I really like how there's a new monster. I mean, we kind of see like the demon throughout the full like first season, but I really like how it's a new monster every like episode, and I guess like every week, you could say. Cuz it's like a new like storyline almost,
yeah,
which
like
I just think is so cool.
they're introducing you to all the different supernatural creatures that are
Mhm.
in the show, but you also have like this background storyline of like this major
Yeah.
villain to kind of keep you like intrigued for longer periods, you know, because you want to know what's happening with this main
Exactly.
storyline. But also, they change it up with like the smaller creatures and stuff and the ghosts, you know.
Yeah, and like season 1 really showed me that there's going to be like so many different like supernatural creatures. Like comparing it to like kind of like Vampire Diaries, like there's only like 3 major supernatural creatures, but this is like all sorts of things like ghosts, and there actually is vampires in this, and like all sorts of monsters. And I really like how they incorporated that.
Yeah, they don't just stick. It's kind of like
Exactly.
in Teen Wolf, they do like a few other random supernatural creatures, but in Supernatural, it's literally like everything: ghosts,
Mhm.
demons. You know, like they cover
That's why it's
all of
so
their
cool.
bases. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in season 1 because it's like you're learning about them for the first time, you know, like you learn how to kill a vampire in Supernatural, you learn how to
Literally.
protect yourself from ghosts, you know, like they're basically like giving you the basics, they're teaching you what you need to know for the next 15
Yeah,
seasons.
and it shows all their skills and like what they can actually hunt, because like when I first turned on Supernatural, I thought they were only going to be hunting like one thing, but then I was introduced to like so many different monsters.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because like when they come across a creature that they've never hunted before, you get to watch them like research it. They're
Yeah.
basically like unpaid FBI agents.
Literally, like they do this for free
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Hello?"
Yeah, they like are full on investigators and they just don't get paid for it.
Exactly.
Moving on to, I feel like this is just the favorites category. Every single one of your favorites, you know, for each of these different things. So, first
Mhm.
up, who is your favorite character so far?
So I was telling this to Addi like when I first started watching, like when I was in Florida and we were watching Supernatural together. We watched like the first few episodes together. I said like Sam was my favorite because like
I
you
was
know like
so
he's
scared.
so cute. He's so
Yeah.
cute. But I switched to Dean, and I feel like I just have a thing for the older brothers, you know.
Yeah. I think it's just the initial Jared Padalecki effect, like the young Jared. Like
He's
it's
so
just
cute.
it's before you really know their characters and you're just drawn to him because it's Jared, you
Literally.
know? And
But
I wasn't really team Sam at first, but I wasn't team Dean either. Like I kind of just was floating in the middle enjoying it, and then like one random episode all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god, I am in love with Dean Winchester."
yeah, he's so attractive, and just like his voice and like the way he acts, like
His
I
voice
love it.
is
I
so
love it.
it's so
It's
like
so good.
gravelly. It's just like I love the way he sounds. Aha.
Yeah. They really
Okay.
casted perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, and in like season 1, we're asking favorite character, but there's really only like 3 options. You have Sam,
Exactly.
Dean, and John because there's no other main characters in
Literally.
season 1. So, yeah, it's favorite character is really just team Sam or team Dean. So,
Yeah. I'm team Dean. But I'm not like
yeah.
opposed to team Sam. I just lean more towards team Dean.
Yeah. I get it.
I
Trust
get
me, I
it.
get it. Okay.
Trust me, I get it.
Anyways, moving on. Back to the monster of the week. What would you say is like your favorite monster that they have come across so far?
Okay, there's a lot, but like if I'm like limiting it, I'm gonna say the scarecrow because I really liked that, and
Yeah,
I
it was
don't
like
know what
the
this
god or
monster.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was.
It was a god that
Um
was like possessing a scarecrow or something like that.
yeah, something weird, but I thought that was really cool. And I don't know what type of monster this was, but it was like one of the earlier episodes where it was like the people went to go up and get healed, and there was like a
Oh yeah, yeah.
monster in
It
his
was
mind or whatever.
was it the one where Dean was sick?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the Grim Reaper that the lady
Yeah.
was controlling. She was
Yes,
like
yes, the
controlling
lady
it and
was
having it
controlling
go
it
kill people, and like she was trading their lives for the lives
to
of the people
heal
in the
people.
church. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I didn't expect that to be in the show, so that was one of my favorites.
So I definitely agree with the scarecrow or the god, whatever it was. That episode was just really cool, and it was an
Mhm.
interesting concept, it being like a god of some kind. I don't know. I like that. And then the second one for me is probably the shifter from the episode where Sam's friend calls him and is like, is being charged with murder for a murder that he didn't commit, you know? And it was
Yeah.
the shifter that, like,
Oh
shifted
my
to look
god, I
like
remember
him
that.
and
Yeah, that
then
was really
killed his
cool.
girlfriend or whatever. Yeah, I liked that episode. And I think shapeshifters are cool.
Yeah,
Like,
they're so cool.
it was really gross in that episode, like, when it showed him shifting, but I don't know. I think they're just cool
I forgot
creatures, I
about that
guess.
episode. No, I think that's really cool. Just the
Yeah, I
concept of
think
shape-shifting.
yeah. So, I don't think either of our favorite episodes correspond with our favorite monsters, funny enough, but
Mhm.
what is your favorite episode from season 1?
My favorite episode is episode 19. I don't know the name of it, but it's the episode where the painting, like the little girl is like alive in the painting and
Yeah,
then they're like trying to burn the painting.
I think it's called, like, Provenance or something. Let me check. Yeah, Provenance. But yeah, that
I
one's
love
really
that
cool.
episode. And it went into another episode and I liked like the girl in that episode
Yeah,
that
didn't Sam have,
yeah.
like, a little
Yeah.
crush in that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute. I
I
like
love
that one
that.
too. I always forget about
Oh,
that one because it's kind of later. So, I would say my favorite episode, honestly, I really love, like, so much of season 1. I don't know. Season 1 is just such a good season. Like, it's probably my favorite one to rewatch, and I
mhm.
love, like, these 2 aren't my favorite, but they're honorable mentions, and it's Wendigo and Dead in the Water, which is the 2nd and the 3rd episode, which is funny because
Yes.
my all-time favorite episode is the pilot. I just love it. Like, Dean goes to get Sam for the first time, and, like, later in the show, like, thinking back to that moment, like, it's just so, like, crazy and cool, and I also like the woman in white. It was creepy. It was a really great first monster, I guess. I don't know, it being a ghost and, like, it's just a great episode. Oh, and
Yeah.
Dean falls off the bridge into the, like, the river, and he gets all muddy, and he's, like, crusty, and he's
Mhm.
walking around with, like, mud falling off of him. I don't know. It's just so funny, and it's like you learn about their brotherly bond for the first time, but just their whole relationship, I don't know. I just
Yeah,
it's a
if I
great
was gonna
episode.
pick, like, another episode, I was gonna say, like, the 2nd episode. I feel like those first 3 are, like, really good.
Yeah.
Um,
I love Wendigo. It's like even though the special effects in that episode are so bad, so is the special effects in the pilot when the woman, when she, like, gets reunited with her 2 children that she drowned or whatever, and she, like,
yeah,
melts
wait,
into goo.
were we not talking about that? Like, the green
Yeah.
screen was so bad.
Yeah. When she, like, melts into goo on the floor and, like, disintegrates, like, what was happening with
What are
that?
you doing? I love when the
I'm like
CGI and stuff is, like, so bad.
yeah. Do you think, like, the people who edit the show look back on that later on and they're like, "What did we do here? Like,
They
what
have
is
to,
that?"
but, like, here's the thing, how do they not, like, pick up on this when they're editing the show?
Why did she need to melt into a puddle? Like, she could have just disappeared, like, just vanished, and we all would have had the exact same reaction. Okay, so next, what do you think the scariest episode is? Because I feel like these first few seasons, you cannot watch at nighttime. They freak me out way too much.
Yeah,
Like, even now, even though I know exactly what happens in every single episode of season 1, I can't watch it at nighttime because
it's
it just gives me the
scary.
heebie-jeebies.
Yeah,
So,
I'm, like, personally scared of this stuff, and I was talking about that in, like, our Halloween episode when we were reading the scary stories. But for scariest episodes, I wanna say episode 15, The Benders. I'm looking at it right now. That's when, like, the family, like, hunted people for fun. I was
yes.
terrified. Like, it's really scary, and, like, because 'cause they're
Well,
doing
because
that for
that
fun,
one's
and I feel like there was jump scares.
yeah, and that one is the only one that wasn't a supernatural creature, and I feel like real people are way scarier than fictional monsters, you know? Like
I agree. Yeah,
yeah.
episode 19, I also thought that was scary. That was the one I talked about with the painting. I just thought the little
Yeah.
girl was so scary, and the fact that the dad or, like, that guy in the picture was, like, turning his head, like, in the photo, I was like,
Yeah, that's the one that I put down as my scariest too. I feel like the opening scene to that episode is really creepy. It's like people getting murdered, you know, by like the ghost or whatever, and like the razor
Oh,
leaves the painting
yes.
and it like
Oh,
disappears from the table in the painting. I don't know. That was just so scary.
it was really scary.
So, moving on with what is to come in the next season, what is something that you really liked in season 1 that you hope comes back in season 2, like a character or a monster or something like that,
Yeah.
you know?
So, I mentioned this before, episode 19, the girl that Sam had a crush on, I really liked her, and I was like, I need to see her again. And she's like, come visit me again, which I doubt is gonna happen, but I'm praying that that girl comes back for some reason, or like, I don't know, I just like seeing their like little flings that they have throughout the
Yeah. And she
seasons.
was a really great character. Like, I liked her a lot. You know,
She
like
was
if
so good. She was so
she
nice.
comes back, you know? Yeah. So next up, I asked you guys on Instagram on my account what questions you would have for Grace, like as people have already watched the show. And I swear the thing that was the most asked was how you felt about John Winchester and just what are your thoughts on him in
Yeah.
general?
So first of all, I recognized him from Grey's Anatomy. This is kind of
Mm.
unrelated, but I recognized
Denny.
him from Grey's, and I was like, oh, like I have a feeling like I'm going to like him. And I honestly did kind of like him, but when it comes to like being a dad, I wrote this down. I was like, I feel like he wants the best for Sam and Dean. Like he wants what's best for his boys, but like he's not good at like showing that and like being a dad figure. Like he's not present in their lives, which is really sad because they love their dad and I just don't like it.
Congratulations, you passed the test.
Thank you. Thank you.
John Winchester is definitely not winning any Father of the Year awards.
Yeah. I just like he does mean good, but
Yeah.
he's not good at showing that he means good
Yeah, like
or
he would
acting
never
on that.
intentionally hurt them.
No, and like how they were talking about how like Dean had to like kind of raise Sam, and I just think that's so sad. Like he could have been a better father, especially in their like younger childhood years. Like that's when you need a father the
Yeah,
most.
well, and he acts like, you know, like all crazy because Mary died and, you know, he's got to avenge her and find the demon that killed her. But Mary's gone, okay? Like, your children
Yeah,
are
she's
still
gone.
here. And now it's like they lost both their parents because you basically disappeared and
Exactly.
left them in shady motels their entire childhood, you know?
Not the motels. Yeah, they're in a different motel every episode in season 1. That's
Yeah.
also wait, I want to add that in real quick because I've been so curious about how they like I've talked about this and I figured it out, but like how they get all the money for these motels and like their travel and like beer
Yeah,
and
it was so funny because you posted a TikTok about that, like, asking where they get all the money, and I had just been on
yeah,
a flight, and while I was on the plane, I watched an episode, like, the one in time in season 1 where they mention how they are able to support what they do because, like, obviously, that would be a big loop, like, hole that needed to be, you know, discussed because like you
yeah,
can't just find money anywhere. But it's like they hustle pull and the credit card scams and I'm like it's so funny how they just
yeah,
threw that into that episode with no other context and for no other reason. It was just like this random scene where they were by the car and Dean's like talking about how he just got a bunch of money and Sam's like we can't hustle pool and run credit card scams forever, Dean, or something like that. And I'm like,
I feel like I brushed right over that. Like I don't know why I can't remember
I think
hearing
you might
that.
have watched that episode while you were here.
Okay, then that's
And
why.
so,
Yeah, maybe I
yeah, it
wasn't paying
was
attention. Well, now I know. Now I know.
one more thing with John. There's this one scene in season 1 that sticks out to me and it's like it's when John finally shows back up again and like around the time that they go hunt the vampires. But it's like this scene and they're all by the car and John says something like make sure you're taking better care of that car, Dean, or I shouldn't have given it to you in the first place. And that scene just makes me so angry because there's nothing that Dean loves more, okay, other than his brother, is that car. You know,
His
like that's
car,
literally
yeah.
his baby. He takes care of it better than he takes care of himself. And for John to
Literally.
just like say that in passing, that car means so much to him because it
Yeah.
was his dad's, you know, it's like so important to him. And John just like, you should take better care of it. I'm like, you know what? You should take better care of your children,
Come on,
sir.
John.
Yeah, that scene
Literally
just like
get out.
icks
No,
me.
I
It's
know
so
exactly what
upsetting.
part you're talking about. I think it's when they are driving. Well, yeah, they're about to get in the car to like hunt the vampires or something. It's one of those
Yeah, they
scenes.
like pulled over somewhere or like at a rest stop or something, and John had his truck, and then the boys
Yeah,
had baby.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was
Come on, John.
somewhere around there.
Do
But yeah, I
better.
just had to mention that scene because it makes me so angry.
Yeah.
As much as I dislike John Winchester, he's not the actual villain of season 1. So what are your thoughts on the yellow-eyed demon? You know, like as a villain, the
Yeah.
storyline of it.
Respectfully, I don't like the yellow-eyed demon. I feel like that goes for a lot of people, and I thought they were going to get rid of it in season 1, and I was really looking forward to that, but yeah, I just don't like it, and I don't like that it like hops between different people's bodies and it like manipulates people. It's just not my
Yeah.
vibe.
And the yellow eyes are
Didn't
so
like it.
much creepier than like the plain
They're really
black demon
creepy.
eyes. Like, I don't know, they give me the
Oh, no,
heebie-jeebies.
like when the eyes like transfer, you know, the black alien eyes. I like
Mhm.
I know the yellow eyes are creepier, but I've like never liked those black
Someone
alien
at the
eyes.
someone at the convention this past weekend had black contacts in, and it looked like the demon eyes. And like, I know that her
They
eyes
knew
were
what they were
hurting.
doing.
I know that her eyes were hurting because she kept like touching it, but it looked so scary. Like when I first looked up and saw her
Oh,
standing there with the black eyes, I was like, oh my god.
the
Took
demon's
me a
here.
second. Yeah.
It's here. And but I also kind of like how you can like tell when the demon's there. Like when Sam and Dean were sitting outside of the house and like all of those signs were coming, like the trees were blowing and like the lights were flickering. Like I think it just kind
Yeah.
of adds to the monster itself.
Yeah. And it's not like without warning, you know, like they get to
Yeah.
prepare for a second first.
Well, one time it was when I was so shocked when it was Dean, Sam, and John in that little shack, and Dean was gonna give the gun to John, and
Yeah.
he's like, "This is you're not my dad." That was such a good scene. I was like,
It was
"Wow,"
such it was such a good Dean moment too.
because
Like,
I thought it was the dad. Like I fully thought it was the dad, and Dean is so smart for that. Respect.
yeah. Like you said, they did not defeat him, so he's not dead
Hmm.
yet. So where do you think like that storyline is gonna go in season 2?
I think it's going to continue, but I actually feel like it's gonna elevate a little more. I think they're gonna get close to killing it again, but I think it's kind of gonna be like an up and down thing. And then hopefully by the end of season 2, they kill it for good.
Do you think that they'll kill it by the end of season 2,
I
or do you think it'll last
I
another season?
if we're talking realistically, I feel like it's gonna go to like season 5, but also I feel like they could kill it in season 2. So like I'm like split about it right now. I
Well, I
don't
guess you'll
know.
have to keep watching to find out.
Yeah, like you can't even put your thoughts on this because this is my prediction. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Okay, and so right after that scene where they find out that the yellow-eyed demon is in John, then that's like the finale, isn't it? I think that's the
Yeah,
finale.
basically. And then
So,
the
what were
car
your
crash.
yeah, and then the car crash. So, what were your thoughts on the finale? Because it's like
Uh,
the first finale of the show.
yeah, I honestly liked that episode. Like I wasn't bored at all throughout that episode, but obviously like that whole part in the shack like was very good acting, and then I was not expecting the car crash at the end of the episode, and then it just ends. It goes black and
Yeah,
I'm like,
no,
"No."
it was so like shocking because it's like they got away, you know, they're already struggling, but everyone's okay, and then all of a sudden it's like this
Mhm.
giant truck
Like, boom,
just
out
goes.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was so sad. I was like, there's actually no way because I thought they were gonna like get out, like try to kill the monster again because John was like, why didn't you kill it, Sam? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, he could have, but it was just a shocker to me.
All right, so that's pretty much everything for season 1. But now, what are like some of the predictions that you have for season 2?
So I already mentioned how I think like they could kill the monster in season 2. So I think that could happen. I also think something bad is gonna happen to Sam. I feel like we haven't seen something like terrible happen to Sam. Like obviously I don't want something bad to happen, but I feel like something's going to happen to Sam specifically. And I think
Well, you gotta
we're
think about, you know, his whole psychic thing and
yeah,
like
I feel
where
like
that's gonna go. Like, he has
maybe there's going to
superpowers.
be another superpower episode because there were like two that showed that in season 1. So maybe in season 2, yeah. And then I think we're going to be introduced to another more permanent character, hopefully. Yeah. Those are my predictions.
All right, I think that's
Yeah.
everything. So, hope you guys enjoyed talking about season 1
Season
of
1.
Supernatural. with us.
It was really good. Everyone go watch it. Hopefully, if you're watching this episode or listening to this episode, you've watched season 1 because there were so many spoilers in that, respectfully.
Yeah. And we will, if you don't already, go follow our Instagram. It's notyouravagefangirl.pod. And we'll keep you guys updated on the timeline at which you should be watching season 2 if you're watching it along with Grace for the first time as well. Just so you can make sure that you're ready and you've finished it by the time the next little episode in this mini series comes out. And yeah,
that's basically it.
This was fun because we haven't really got
really
to talk
like
about
this. I'm
Supernatural
excited
yet.
for this.
I love Supernatural.
I'm literally gonna watch it tonight. Like, I'm actually watching it tonight, even though I shouldn't watch it at night. I don't recommend, but after talking about this, I want to go watch more. So yeah,
I'm glad. I'm also very happy that you're a Dean girl.
Yes, he's so
we can bond over how much we love Dean now.
Yes, I really like him. All right, yeah, if you're not following our socials already, our Instagram is notyouravagefangirl.pod. My personal Instagram is liveloveiansommerhalder, and so is my TikTok.
My TikTok is addison.brian, and my Instagram is addi.asks.
And yeah, thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Bye.